Josh, thank you very much for your time. Tell me a little bit about the story. I've had a quick hands-on.
So we've been on early access for 18 months now, and one of the things we've said is that we need to have something at launch, and the story is what we're sort of keeping for launch. I mean, on a very basic level, you are an underlord who is the sort of demigod, out to, be evil and chaotic and whatever, and you serve the character played by Richard Ridings, who's the big evil god. And the opposing force is the petty humans and dwarves who live on Kairos, the sort of mortal realm where you invade and kill everyone, and their goddess Kira. That's sort of the big opposing force, and stuff happens.
Now, when you go about to make a game that's like Dungeon Keeper but modern and updated, it would seem like it would be a fairly straightforward product because you know what you're looking for at the end.
Sure.
Has there been anything surprisingly difficult about making War for the Overworld?
Probably the hardest thing from a design standpoint is trying to balance a nice sort of multiplayer experience with an experience that's good in single player as well. The way we've done that is we've taken our tech tree, and the tech tree behaves in a different way in single player and multiplayer. So in single player, chunks of it are made available as you progress through the campaign, and then you have sort of a small amount of choices throughout. Some of the stuff is given to you automatically, some things that you need to progress through the levels. Like in level 4, you're given the Underminer, which is one of the sort of really basic things in the game, which allows you to blow up parts of the map, which you need to do often to progress.
Great.
But most of the other things you can pick and choose to progress with. And then in multiplayer, you start with a blank slate, and you can pick whatever you want. The layout of the tech tree is the same. So you sort of become familiar with it throughout the campaign, but then in multiplayer and in skirmish, you are much more free to pick and choose your own strategy, basically.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned the tech tree. It's something I'm very excited by. Something you absolutely didn't get with Dungeon Keeper. I suppose now you can play the game how you like.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, as I said, in single player, it's guided a little bit. I mean, there's some levels where you absolutely have to play defensively or offensively, but in other levels you're a little bit more free. Where it truly comes to show is in skirmish or in multiplayer, where you can, yes, absolutely do whatever you want. You can, go full into the Vein of Sloth, which is where all the defensive things are, and you can just turtle up your corner of the map and wait for the enemy to throw his army at you, hopefully lose, and then you go and steamroll him once his army is dead. Or you can completely ignore that and go into the Vein of Wrath, which allows you to get beasts, which are like super offensive units, and constructs like the Underminer I was talking about, that lets you blow up the enemy's walls if they have any defenses. Or you can mix, or you can just go in the middle, which is a lot of like economic things, or like the Prison, which allows you to capture enemy units and either convert them to your side or burn them to death and reanimate their corpses, or you can even drop them in the oven in your tavern to feed them to your own units. All sorts of things you can do with captured enemies. You can do that with your own units too, but it's a little bit counterproductive, probably.
Probably. I feel like you've definitely captured the dark humour that was in the original Dungeon Keeper franchise. But for those who never played Dungeon Keeper 1 or 2 and don't really know what to expect from War for the Overworld, what should they be looking for? What should they be awaiting?
Everyone's played something like Diablo, like a dungeon crawler. So, I mean, in those games, you're a hero running through a dungeon, killing hordes of demons and avoiding traps and going and killing the Dark Lord of Terror. This completely flips that on its head. You are the Dark Lord of Terror, the Underlord, and you are building this dungeon and acquiring this army of evil minions and building these traps, and the heroes come and attack you, or you go and attack them sometimes. And it's sort of like a mix of a god game and an RTS in that respect. You can also go into possession, for example. You can possess any of your units and go and fight on the front lines with all of their abilities. That's also quite fun. It's sort of quite a mishmash of different things. I mean, we call it a dungeon management game because there wasn't really a name for the genre, so we went with that. It's not, if you've not played games like that before, it's quite different. There'll be a lot of new stuff for you to try.
Awesome. Finally, when can we expect War for the Overworld?
April 2nd on Steam and in retail stores on PC, Mac, and Linux.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Josh.
Cool.
Thank you for your time.